Hello and welcome, guys, to another episode of the Space City X Files. I appreciate you being here today, and we're gonna do a little something different. This is basically I usually write down my recordings first so I can have them somewhat coherent and put together for you. But this one here, I'm gonna do a little different. And because it's a personal experience that's happened to me recently. I had an episode for you. I was trying to get this out last week, but I didn't make the deadline, and so I released the episode of NDEs, which I hope you liked. I hope you watched it. If you did, leave those reviews and the 5 stars. Help us out. Help us to break through these glass ceilings that are put in front of us. And I was going to put out another episode for you today, this week, but I had to let you in on this experience. All right, so this is going to be considered a strange happening episode, because it is pretty fucking strange what happened, but it's also a personal experience. Okay, and so without any further delay, let's just hop right into it. Before we do get started, I just would like to thank all the listeners of Space City X Files. We appreciate you very much. We appreciate your support. What you're going to notice today is that we run 0 ads. We run no ads. We basically rely solely on your help to share our show, to like it, to comment, to pass it along, and that helps us to get in front of more individuals, helps them to basically hear the message that we have to share, hear our passion, and that is uncovering the mysteries of the world that we live in today. Some things that are suppressed that should be public knowledge, but it's not. That's our goal, to inform everybody. That's it. So we're learning right along with you. We don't consider ourselves experts, but we do consider ourselves good researchers, and that's what we do. We research, we find out the answers to these topics, and then we pass it along, and then we allow you to decide whether you think it's something that's worth putting your attention to or not. And so we greatly appreciate all the help that you give us week in and week out. You guys are the force or the wind behind our sails, and you enable us to keep on making content for you week after week. If you would care to make a monetary contribution, you can go to our website and click on the Support Us tab. There you can type in any amount you want, and of course the proceeds always go to the improvement of the show, whether that be equipment or perhaps traveling for interviews, what have you. But you can do that there. Thank you again for being a part of Space City X Files. Now let's start the show. All right, so this is all from memory. All right, I'm not gonna waste time writing anything down. And these timelines that I give you are not exact, but they're pretty close. Okay, so October 25th is when, I'm just going to refer to it as the event, happened to me. It was a normal day. Went to work in the morning. I went to a job site located in downtown Houston. I had been working at that site the previous week also, so I've traveled there and back home probably about 3 or 4 times already. All right, and also I've lived in Houston my whole life, so I know the freeway system really well. I'm not too familiar with downtown, because I just don't I don't hang out there. I don't work there often, so I kind of just steer clear of that area. And so I went to work that morning. I was working on a project at a small apartment complex by the front gates, and I realized that I wasn't going to be able to finish that day. There were some things that were missing. I was on my own that day, so I decided I was going to leave. There was no point in hanging around if I couldn't finish it. So I got in the truck. It was about 10:25, possibly 10:30, when I pulled out of the driveway of those apartments. I had GPS on to help guide me out of that area, just to help guide me back to the freeway. And so I'm going through downtown Houston, and I reached the part of the downtown where it kind of merges into the freeway system. There's an on-ramp, okay? So I've taken this path about 3 times already. So I get on, I take the ramp, and as soon as I'm on the ramp, I know I need to get over one, because that's going to be the lane that basically takes me exactly where I need to go. All right, there's no more getting over, merging. There's one merge, but that lane will continue onto the ramp that I need to exit to. So I get there fast, because you don't want to waste time, especially in this part of town, because if you don't get in over there fast, you can find yourself stuck out. So I get over. I'm driving. I see this sign right above that says, that's my exit. It says exit to I-10 East. And so I take that exit, and as I take that exit, I've taken this exit multiple times. I'm seeing all the familiar buildings that I always see when I take this exit. One in particular is a little building, like right at the bottom where the ramp, where that ramp starts to curve. There's a building down below that you can see clearly, and it always strikes me as funny that they built it right there, because it's kind of a modern style building. It looks like a lab of some sort, but it's like in the middle of, like, I don't know, it's like in the middle of not woods, but like wooded area. So it just always strikes me as funny, like why would they put that building there? And so I see that building. I continue on, and I see all the buildings of downtown like normal. I see the same paintings that they put on the buildings. And I'm continuing, and I see this semi on my left-hand side, which is about to, which is traveling in the same direction I'm going now. And I need to be in that lane, because the lane that I'm currently on ends, and if I don't get over fast enough, it'll lead me back into downtown, which I don't want to do. So I accelerate with the intention to get in front of the semi. And so I'm passing him along the side, and I'm also watching a car that's up ahead of me some ways, because I need to speed up fast enough so I can get over, but I need to avoid that car also. So I'm kind of looking both directions. And then all of a sudden, this is where it gets crazy. So all of a sudden, I feel like things grow intensely bright. Super, super bright. And it's almost like it's fading out. And I feel like that's exactly what it did. It faded out. And when my vision faded back in, I was on a completely different freeway, traveling north. All right. So the freeway that I was on was I-10 East. After the incident, I was on I-45 north, traveling north. If I had to describe how the feeling is, or what the best description that I can give you is, like, if you ever watched a movie and the guy is telling you about something that happened in his life, or, you know, if the screen, like, kind of, if that scene kind of blanks out and then it comes back in and it's a different scene, like, of the storyline, That's the best way I can describe it. I feel like it grew bright, faded out, and when it faded back in, I was completely somewhere else on a whole new freeway. Anyways, I know it sounds crazy, but let me get it out. So I realized I'm not on the fucking freeway that I'm supposed to be on. So I'm like, what the fuck just happened? And I looked down. I had my GPS on, but I always keep my GPS silent because I don't like it chirping in my ear. One, especially when I know which way I'm going. I look down. The GPS is rerouting. I'm like, what the fuck, man? And so I'm looking around for like something familiar that I recognize, try to figure out where the fuck I am. And then all of a sudden I see a sign, overpass, and I see the street sign, and I'm like, okay, there's North Main. I said, so all right, so I'm on I-45. I'm like, and I'm saying out loud, what the fuck happened? Like, how the fuck did I get here? I'm saying that out loud to myself. What the hell just happened? And I want to freak out. Like, I want to just lose my shit, but I'm like, I'm on the freeway and I'm driving, and there's cars that are coming up beside me. So I need to hold it together. So I'm like, all right, I need to figure out how am I going to get back in the direction of my house. And then I realized, okay, if I'm on 45, 610 should be coming up, and I can take that exit, and I can follow that around to where I need to go. So I look at the GPS as it's rerouting, and sure enough, it says 610 East coming up. It'd be an exit to my right. So that bit of anxiety at least goes away. And so I'm traveling up 45 North. I'm about a quarter mile away from 16 East. And all of a sudden, things start getting very bright again. And I start getting this feeling like uneasiness, like, I don't know, like almost like it's impending doom, you know? And I start getting real, like, oh man, like anxious. And I start worrying, like, whatever happened is going to happen again. And where am I going to end up next? And as things start getting bright, all of a sudden it gets bright, and then it goes away, and it doesn't come back. So I see my exit on 610. I take it. There was a guy that was fucking tailgating the shit out of me. I don't know if I accidentally cut him off or what. He was following me for a while, and finally I slowed down. Like, all right, well, come beside me, and if you're gonna tell me something, tell me something. So he swerves around real fast and takes off, whatever. So I'm like, what the fuck was that about? Anyways, I continue on. I see the exit from my house. And my whole mindset when I left the job site was either I'm going to go home or I'm going to go to my dad's to drop off some materials for another project. I hadn't quite made up my mind before the incident happened. Now, as I took the exit towards 610 East to head towards my house, I could have still went to my dad's, but I was like, fuck this, I'm going home. And so I just went straight home. I drive home. There's no further incident. I arrive home, and it's like I kind of put the event on the back burner. Like, I had so much things going on when I got home. The kids were saying hello, and everybody's, you know, I take care of the normal things that I do when I get home, emails and messages and invoices and all that stuff. And it's not until that evening, me and my wife are in the kitchen and we're talking, and then I tell her, oh, I don't know how, something she said brung it back to my mind, but I was like, oh shit, I gotta tell you something, like something crazy happened to me today. And she's like, what? So I tell her what happened, and she was an EMS for like 10 years or 12 years, so she's pretty familiar with like symptoms and signs of all kinds of shit. She was going to be a doctor, but she changed her deal to an EMS, and that's what she was for a long time. So I tell her what happened to me, and first thing she says is that it's possible that she had a stroke. And I'm like, a stroke? Like, I feel fine. Like, a little bit of information about me. I'm 37. You know, I work out at least 3 times a week. I try to eat as healthy as possible. I try to get as much sleep. I'm usually asleep by 11 or 12 each night. I run my own business, so I got contractors to do the work. So my job is not very stressful. I would say about the normal amount of stress as anybody that does in the world. Nothing in particular has been going on in my life recently that's stressful. So I don't understand how a stroke could have came to me. I don't know. Anyways, I'll get more to that in a little bit, but just let me finish the timeline. All right. So I don't know. I mean, I have to tell somebody about this. I need to share this experience. And so the first thing that I do is after I wake up in the morning the next day is I get on Reddit and I type it I'm in the restaurant. I type it on my phone really fast, type it up, and I just put send. And I want to know if there's anybody. So if you follow the high strangeness subreddit, you've probably heard my story. You've probably seen it on there. It was pretty popular for a while, and I got a lot of good insight on there. But also there was a lot of people that were just saying, you had a stroke, you need to go to the doctor, go to the doctor. And I'm trying to tell them, no, I don't think so. I don't think it's that. I've had a couple of people mention time slips, where, I guess it's kind of a glitch in the matrix or something like that. I've heard some people say that possible that there was a portal left open and I jumped through it somehow, an accident. I've had people say that I died. I died right there as I was trying to pass that 18-wheeler. And from what I understand, when you die, your energy merges with the quantum entangled nearest version of you. So that could have been the version of me traveling the other way on 45 North. I don't know, but I put it on Reddit. I talked about it for a few days with a few people, and things kind of returned back to normal somewhat. And here's where another crazy fucking part comes into play. So I want to say it was the Friday morning and Saturday morning of that same week after the event took place. So and I updated Reddit too on this as soon as everything played out. But it started off Friday at 3 a.m. Actually, it was about like 2:55. I woke up, and I wake up at 3. I have spells of when I wake up at 3 a.m. regularly, and then sometimes I don't. But I have not had that problem in a long time. It's not really a problem because I'd fall back asleep. But I have not had that happen to me in a while. But here it's 2:55. I wake up for no reason. There's nothing going on. But when I wake up, there's something like in the back of my head. Like I felt like I had a bruise in the back of my head, like at the base of my skull, where my neck meets my skull. So I'm like, what the fuck? Did something bite me, or did I sleep on something? So I'm looking around, kind of massaging it, whatever, and it goes away. And I'm like, man, what the hell was that? So I try to go back to sleep, but I start getting like this weird feeling, like that, like I don't know, like it's I wouldn't say it's fear. It's like, but it's a low vibration, And one thing else, a little side note. Sorry, that was my phone ringing. I told you I'm recording this live from my truck. One little side note. Somebody asked me, like, is there anything different that you're doing in your life? All right, so the only thing that I can say that I've been doing different in my life was that I was introduced to the idea of basically like your chakra system I was introduced to the idea that our energies are one with the Creator or God, whatever you want to call it, the universe. And, it started making a lot of sense to me, and it really changed my outlook on a lot of things. It's really opened me up spiritually. It's really changed a lot of narratives that I had that were very, I come from a Christian background. I was a Jehovah's Witness for a long time, and they're I love them. They're good people, but their religion is very it's very this, and this, and don't stray from that, or you're not gonna get to this, And I was raised that way for a long time, and I just recently kind of stepped away from that. I'd say about a year ago, 2 years ago. And when I was introduced to this theory, or this basically belief about how, Christianity is good, but it's kind of corrupted the idea of what things actually are and what actually happens after you pass away and what your life is actually purposed for. It's really changed my beliefs and things. So, with that, I started getting into meditation a lot. And I've been meditating for about 2 months now, and started off where I wasn't making any progress. But then I felt like I got really, really good, really, really fast on it. And so much to where I feel like I can kind of tap into my subconscious and program it and really, really get into it, a deep meditative, hypnotic state. And I usually do that, 2 or 3 times a week as the day winds down. I've been listening to frequency music a lot to basically lift your vibration and open up your chakras and stuff like that. And so people ask what have I been doing different in my life? Well, that's it. That's the only major thing that I can see happen, or that I've been doing differently. And I don't know if it has anything to do with it. I don't know if it correlates into the event, but that's what it was. And so, continuing on with the story. So it was 3 a.m. I started getting this low vibration feeling, I don't know. It was I can just say it felt kind of a little bit like fear, low vibration. So I started doing my normal techniques to get myself out of it. I start the breath work, deep breaths in, deep breaths out. I have this trigger that I've kind of implemented or impressed into my subconscious, to where if I touch my fingers together, my index and my thumb together, and I count down to 10, I feel like I can bring myself into a theta meditative state. And I feel like I've kind of impressed that onto my subconscious already. And so I did that, but it wouldn't work. I couldn't concentrate. I couldn't focus. I couldn't shake this feeling. I started listening to a little bit of vibrational music, kind of like an aura cleanse vibrational music, and finally it started to ease. Finally it went away, and I slept. I fell back asleep maybe at 5 o'clock, and got up at 7. So I didn't get much sleep, and that day, the rest of the day, Friday, I felt really run down, really sad. I kept trying to pick myself up. The weather was shit that day too, so that didn't help. But no further incident that day. Just wasn't feeling really good. All right, and so it's time to go to sleep. I usually lay down, like I said, at about 11 or 12. So at this point, it's already, I guess, 12 a.m. Saturday. So as I lay down, I'm like, man, I hope I don't have this trouble again. I don't want to wake up in the middle of the night. Hate that. So I lay down. Sure enough, I wake up at 3 a.m. on the dot. And I'm like, fuck, here we are again. So I'm like, am I going to have trouble falling asleep again? So I start, trying to go through my meditative process, try to focus my mind, clear my mind, empty my thoughts. And it works. So I'm able to fall asleep relatively fast. I'm not having any weird dreams or nothing. I did have a very interesting dream, but it wasn't weird. And I don't know if it fits into the story, but I'm just not going to include it. So, everything works out fine. Sunday comes, I sleep all through the night, sleep great, wake up at my normal time, 7 or 8. And then, Monday, no, I'm sorry. Monday goes by without incident. Tuesday, I sleep fine. I get off of work. I come home. I'm in my, it's like the evening time. I'm in my room, watching TV and stuff. And, me and my wife. And then, all of a sudden my daughter comes into the room and she's just bawling her eyes out. She's crying. She's hysterical. And these are real tears. You know your kids. You know when it's real tears, and when it's you can just tell. And so I'm like, she's like, oh, crying. I'm like, so I kind of get like excited too. I'm like, what is it? Like, I thought somebody got hurt upstairs. So I'm like, what is it? And she goes, I just talked to my sister, and she said that somebody murdered my mom. And me and her mom are not together. We haven't been together in a while. And I'm like, what the fuck? Like, who said this? And she goes, my sister. And, so I'm like holding her. I'm like, I'm sorry. I'm trying to console her the best way that I can. I lost my mom too, very young age, so I know how it is. And it wasn't in the same circumstance. It didn't have anything to do with murder, but she did die. My mom did die under mysterious circumstances that they claim it was an overdose, but I don't know. I'm not 100% sure on that, but I never was really convinced on that one. But anyways, I'm trying to console her. I said, how did your sister get this information? And she said she's seen it on another of her family members' Facebook page, that they put a GoFundMe, and they put in the description that my daughter was murdered and this and that. And I said, okay. I said, just try to breathe. I said, sometimes they post things that maybe it was a cruel joke, or maybe it was just somebody's beefing. They're having trouble with each other. I said, let me try to find out what's going on first before we, they could be misinformed. I said, let me try to find out what's going on. Just calm down. It might not be true. Let me find out. And so I start messaging around, start contacting people, and sure enough, they say it's true that it happened. And so I'm asking them, when did it happen? What happened? How? They said that she was found on Monday. My daughter's mom was scheduled to work Saturday and Sunday. She didn't show up to her shifts, so they asked somebody over there in that town to go and check on her, and that was Monday. They went to the house and they found her deceased. So it's very possible that she lost her life Friday, the same day that I woke up at 3 a.m. in the morning with pain in the back of my head. I'm not saying that all this is related. I don't know what it is, to be honest with you. It could be. I've never had anything happen to me like this before in my life. I wouldn't consider myself like a psychic or anything like that. I have been working on opening my third eye, the third eye chakra, which is supposed to be for insight and for basically seeing and knowing. Your intuition is supposed to be heightened. So like I said, I don't know if this correlates or not. Like in this belief system, I would say it does, but I can't say 100%. As far as like high strange or eerie things, like in my life before this, I've only had like 2 occasions where something extreme that I can't explain what it was. Once when I was 5 years old, I was sleeping in my parents' room between them, and I couldn't sleep that night. And I kept looking around the room, and all of a sudden these faces would appear. These holographic faces would kind of shimmered like a holograph picture. They would come into sight. I would see their face, and then they would fade out, and then another one would fade in somewhere else, and they'd fade out. Another one would fade in, fade out. And even at that age, one of the things that I noticed the most is that these faces were human, but they were of different nationalities all over the world. Some were wearing headdresses, some were black, some were white, some were Mexican, they were just nationalities of all races with different custom wear, the clothes that they were wearing. And they wouldn't say anything. They would just appear and disappear. Some of them would take notice of me and smile. Others would just be like if they were like looking off into the distance, not really able to see anything, I guess, or almost like if they were looking into a mirror, I would say. But I don't know, I fell asleep that night, and that was the only time that I had ever noticed anything like that ever in my life. It had never happened to me again. The only other deal that happened to me was whenever I was about 15 years old. Me and my friend were sitting out on his front porch, and it was kind of a rainy night, sprinkling, not too bad, just kind of like a mist, And I will say that night we were smoking some weed, but that was a while back before that event took place that night, so the effects were kind of wearing off. And we were sitting on the front porch having a cigarette, and all of a sudden this loud thunder, like I don't know, lightning bolt thunder, whatever, I don't know, but it hits right in front of us in the street. It feels like it hit the street right in front of us. And the street to where we were sitting, I would say, is about 40 feet, 50 feet. Anyways, it hit so hard that it feels like a surge, like a shockwave came towards us, because we both went back in our seat. And we just look at each other like, what the fuck just happened? Like something hit us. Like, did we just get electrocuted or what? And he's like, dude, like, what the fuck was that? I'm like, I don't know, man. And then all of a sudden we're sitting there and we're looking out into the sky. And then all of a sudden we see this green like orb or disc come into our view on the right side. And it just goes across the sky all the way to the left side of our view, out over the trees and the houses to where we can't see it anymore. And that was I swear to God, that was the weirdest thing, one of the weirdest things that ever happened to us. And I still talk to him sometimes these days, and that's the first thing that comes up. Man, do you remember when that shit happened that night? Yeah, that was wild. But that was, and in my life, that's the only weirdest things that have ever happened to me. So it's not like I'm like a magnet to strange shit, But none of that compares to anything that's taken place within the last week or so. And that brings me basically to today. I've had some people call me from a couple of different shows asking me if I would like to come on and talk with them and share. And I don't have a problem doing that, but I wanted to relay this. I wanted to relay this information, this event to you all first before I talk with anybody else about it. And also, I wanted time to process and to try to understand what happened. So if the other thing that people asked me was like, well, did you go to the doctor? Whatever happened with that? So, my wife is an ER technician now. She was in EMS for 12 years, and so she did look me over. Basically, gave me the test to see if somebody had experienced a stroke. She could find nothing, and so after I posted on Reddit, there was a lot of people who said, "Man, you could have had a small stroke or this and that. You need to go get checked out." And so I did go to my primary care and did have a visit with them. I didn't tell them that it happened when I was driving, because I don't want them to try to take my license or anything like that. I need my license for work. But I just told them that I had a lapse in time. I said I felt like I had a lapse in time, and so they said, well, I told them I was worried that maybe I had a stroke. And so they did blood work, they did blood sugar, checked my eyes, checked my blood pressure, my heart rate. Everything's completely fine. Everything is exactly where it needs to be. And they could find nothing. They could find nothing to show that anything happened to me or anything's wrong with me. And they said, well, the only way to really check is you need to have an MRI or a CAT scan, this and that. So they asked me if I wanted to set that up, and I said, yeah, I guess that's what we need to do. And so I'm awaiting that. I had to get some finances in order before I can do that one, but it is something that I'm planning on doing, just to eliminate any further possibility that it can be health related. But I'll tell you one thing, though, is when you know, I mean, we all know ourselves, and my family knows me. Like, I just don't come to them with, they know I have a conspiracy podcast and this and that, but as far as like how I am as a person, they know that I don't react, like overreact to things. You know, I was in the military. I'm very good under pressure. I'm very good in high stress situations. So I don't overreact to situations. So whenever I tell them something, or whenever they see me bothered, they know that what I'm saying is the truth. You know, I wouldn't be that way for a reason. I don't make up stories. I'm not that kind of person, you know. And also, I know myself. I know my body. I know the way that I feel. And I mean, there's just something inside me that tells me that this was not health related. This was something like a phenomenon, and I don't know exactly what it is. I don't know how to explain it. One of the reasons why I'm making this episode is just so I can put this out there to let you all know that this is something that happens. This is, you know, I'm sure there's people out there. I'm sure I'm not the only one that has experienced this. This is a big world. I'm sure somewhere out there, somebody has experienced something like I have. And this is just the hopes that maybe I can reach somebody who has a similar experience. Maybe we can compare notes. And also, it's I don't know. It's interesting, and I thought maybe you would find it interesting too. And so that's where we're at. If you have any idea or would like to share your thoughts on what it can be, or what you think, or you have any questions, then you can send me an email at info@spacecityxfiles.com. and I'd be happy to talk with you. I'd be happy to answer any of your questions. I'm also looking to do a hypnosis session to try to unlock and find the time between when I took that exit to where I arrived at. There was about 10 to 15 minutes missing between that time, and so I hope to do a hypnosis session to try to find out what happened. I mean, I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of people say that maybe I experienced road hypnosis, where I kind of just blacked out or just went on autopilot and didn't realize it. But I took an exit, went through downtown, went through all the red lights normally, and got back on the freeway on the other side. And I didn't snap to until I, snapped out of the. I find that hard to believe. But one guy was like, "Man, I drove through 3 whole cities. I'm a truck driver. I drove through 3 cities on autopilot and didn't and that's like 4 to 6 hours worth of driving before he realized where he was." Now, I drive a lot for my job, so I've experienced something like that too, where I was taking a 2-hour drive and I was like, this is going to take forever. But, went into autopilot mode. Next thing you know, I'm there, and I felt like I've only been driving for 30 minutes. I've had that happen before, but during that state, I'm not unconscious or oblivious to what's happening on the road. I know what's going on. Here, I have no recollection whatsoever. It's like I went to sleep and woke up and I was in a whole different place. And so that's the difference between those 2 scenarios. But anyways, like I said, I'm gonna go ahead and cut this episode short. We'll go back to our regular episodes next week. It's going to be an interesting one, so please join us then, and we hope you like it. One quick thing before we go, I want to say that if you have loved ones out there, make sure that you're telling them that you love them. Make sure that you're showing them. Don't neglect the time that we have with each other, because it's not guaranteed. Tomorrow's not guaranteed for us. It's not guaranteed that we're going to wake up the next day. So don't waste the time that you have with the people that you love, that you share your life with. Tell them that you love them. Hug them. If you have problems with somebody in your family, make amends if possible. Make amends and show them and tell them that you love them, and put it all aside, because it's not guaranteed. It's not guaranteed that your loved ones are going to be there tomorrow. Maybe you won't get the opportunity to say sorry or forgive them or just hug them. And so I just wanted to put that back out there. I'm sure you all know it. Everybody who listens to this show is incredibly bright and talented. And so I know that you know these things, but sometimes we all need reminders. And this was a reminder for me. It's a reminder that it can happen any day, our last day. So, take advantage of the time that you have, and show love to everybody. Show love to yourself. Treat yourself with love and kindness. But, all right. Well, I hope you enjoyed this episode. It's definitely some strange times in my life. And if you have any information or any wisdom you would like to share, feel free to reach out. Social media or email, whatever you want to do. In the meantime, until we meet again, this is Rick with the Space City X-Files. We'll see you next time. Keep listening, keep questioning, and keep exploring.
Thank you for listening to SCXF Presents, Strange Happenings 9.